everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Oh, I need paper? No, I'm not. I got plenty of paper. Hello, everybody. Turn this up. Up. Hello. There we go. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. It is Tuesday, October 1st, 2019. There's the studio here doing the Night Attack pre-show as usual. How would you spell usual? U-Z-H? U-S-U-A, says our guest, maybe? Well, U-S-U-A would be usual. That would be like usual. But you couldn't do U.S. Here, go on, Mike. Come on, get on. Come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, your friend of mine, the OG Brito, Will Harris.
What's up, team?
How's it going, man?
It's going exceptionally well.
Can you hear me from over there? You can hear me well enough?
What, like, physically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got the monitor there, and we're still figuring out the levels and stuff for that. Hello, everybody.
I can hear you fine.
Sweet. I think it's gotta be U S like Z or U-Z-H.
On the huge.
Huge.
Well, this is like Justin's thing about psych, right?
Well, and I am in the same boat as I am on.
What was the
side
conclusion on psych?
I still believe it's S-I-K-E.
Yes.
Yeah,
there is no other answer.
Right.
That's the only true answer. There was only one answer. Any other answer should die.
So, you've been in the U.S. for how many weeks now?
What day is it?
It's Wednesday, or it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. I got here on Wednesday last week.
Okay. And you were in Houston?
I was in New York.
New York.
I did two nights in New York. I went to go and see Andrew Bancroft do Freestyle Love Supreme on Broadway.
Ooh.
It was very embarrassing because I had heard Justin and Brian talking about it on one of the previous Night Attacks.
Yeah.
And they do this whole intro where they go, on mic 1, it's a man, blah, 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 blah. On mic 2, it's a man, blah, 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 blah. On mic 3, it's Jelly D. And I just went, Jelly D! And everybody else in this like really like high-class Broadway audience just looked at me and was like, What the fuck are you doing? And I was like, it's our man Jelly D!
It's Jelly D!
And yeah, I shut the fuck up after that.
So he was like introduced on stage.
Yeah.
Like in that. Wow.
He's one of the main crew.
That's great.
So I went and saw that. That was amazing. And then I went down to Houston for a couple of days to see a pal. And then I'm here for a couple of days staying at the 7 Acre Schwood.
That's right.
Which has been absolutely phenomenal because you see all this stuff like online and you see the journey. Like you guys talk about like, should we talk about the puppy? Is there going to be like even back when like, is there going to be a puppy? The puppy got taken from us. Now we get the puppy back. And to actually be here is like frigging incredible. I'm sleeping in a room which appears to be filled. It's got a lovely, lovely, comfortable bed, but it's also got a lot of comic books and like a random
I think at one
literal
point
mannequins.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, where did Brian keep all this stuff before he had 7 acres?
I think a lot of it was we had talked off the shows yesterday or something about like this is all the stuff you would throw away if it was in your garage.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that was not in the studio was a lot of stuff that was in the garage, including the comic books. I think
it's so good. It's so good.
Because I think if I remember right, he pulled those comics out for his girls because he wanted to get his girls into the comic books.
Yeah.
But then that's a lot of boxes.
And then today, I've had today had the most chill day. I went to a place called Specs, which if people that are out, I think Specs is a Texas thing. It's
it?
not
I don't
outside
know.
of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just Houston and Austin, right?
Wow, yeah. I did not realize that.
And it's just like a heavenly like place where it's like in England, it's the size of a good size supermarket.
Yeah,
Like it's the size of a place that I would go to go and buy all my groceries in a week, except the only thing that's on it is booze. That's in it is booze.
Yeah,
And
it is literally like it's a Kroger or a
yeah,
Food Lion
there's
size.
just booze.
It's just booze.
And
Most
I
of
sent my
it's
friend. I
wine.
walked in through the front door and I took a picture on my phone and I took a panorama of this place and I sent it to my friend and she was like, "Oh my god, you have to take a panorama of the booze shop. Like that's the most like incredible thing."
Yeah.
And so I stocked up the 7 Acre Wood with some good liquor.
That's right. I'm drinking a Captain Morgan.
A little bit of
and pepper.
Mahoy.
That's right.
Cheers, mate.
Jizz. Now, what are you drinking? Because I see you've got vodka, a La Croix, a cranberry juice,
So
but you're
I
drinking
have-
like a
I
orange
have I subscribe to the Dan Harmon philosophy of podcasting, which is keep a little table next to you with your drink.
Yeah, viewers at home, and certainly listeners will not be able to tell that off table. There is a very tiny table.
So this is like how random the 7 Acre Wood is. I was wandering around outside and I found a tiny little garden side table. And I was like, that is just the right size and the right height to be off camera. So you can't tell, but right like here,
Yeah.
down and around there, you won't quite get it
You don't
because
quite-
that's specifically the point.
I've
It's
moved
out
the
of
chat.
shot.
You can see the bottle caps
see the
right
top?
in the corner.
Hang on.
No, don't worry about it. No one's ever going to see that. No one's
And
ever
so I
gonna
was
see
like, right, I'm gonna keep a little. I'm gonna get a little booze table for the studio because that's what we need.
that. Yeah. And so you just found that outside?
I've currently got vodka pineapple.
Vodka pineapple? Okay, pineapple
I've
juice.
got a little LaCroix
Yeah.
to alternate.
Okay.
And I've got.
No.
This looks like the sort of thing that you would buy. If you didn't know what you were doing, which is it's vodka called. It's just called Russian Standard Vodka, and it's like, sell me on your brand. Well, it's
please.
Russian, and it's the standard type of vodka. But it's actually what all my Russian friends in London drink, and they assure me that it's actually incredibly good vodka.
It's a standard.
It is the standard.
Yeah.
It's not like standard. It's the standard.
Right.
So that's what I've got. And I got some Kettle One, so that if you want a nice vodka for like a little sipping vodka, I've got some Kettle One Citron in case you need like a real little sipping vodka.
Yeah.
Got some Captain for the vibes, obviously, and then I got 3 types of Scotch or 3 types of whiskey.
Okay.
So 2 types of bourbon that are both from Texas.
Okay.
Because people who come from outside Texas want stuff from Texas.
Yes.
But people who live in Texas want stuff from somewhere
From outside
else.
of Texas,
So I
absolutely.
was like, right, well, I'll get 2 Texas bourbons and like a Scottish Scotch.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you've got all your bases covered. And then some crappy tequila and a margarita mix, which I was drinking this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't see that margarita mix. I might have gone.
There's margarita mix in the fridge.
Maybe I'll.
It's surprisingly good.
Yeah. I have been a big fan of the margarita in a can trend.
Ooh. I'm
there's-
a big fan of anything that just puts everything together in a can.
They have these like tall boys, these huge tall boys. They're
Yeah.
like 10% each of margarita in a can. There are 3 brands that I know of. One is these like little tiny like mini cans.
Yeah.
Those are fine. There's one that I think Bush or Bud make, but it's I don't.
I mean, ultimately, Bush makes almost everything, right?
Right. And that's the one that I like. It's got the like very bright colors and the big block letters because it's. I kind of like it because it's really salty, right? They
Yeah.
they have a bunch of salt in it. But
The equivalent of the salted rim on
right.
the.
On the glass. And but I ended up getting there's a second like tall boy margarita in a can brand that wasn't as salty, and I found I had to add salt
Yeah.
to get it where I was going.
Well, otherwise it gets too much.
Yeah. Tall boys, maybe a little much. Maybe a little much for a 10% margarita. Those kind of will fill me for the night.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of sticking to the. See, I've gone out of the habit of drinking beer because it's like too like expansive. You drink too many beers and you just die. So I'm like, right now, what's the like just most vodka I can have? I can. What's the most vodka ratio to anything mixed that you can do?
I'm kind of like that too. I mean, I like ciders well enough, but for me, I want to get where I'm going.
So cider. So I discovered today that cider is now a thing, right? Because like the last time I was over here and I asked for a cider, they were at a bar.
Sure.
The woman was like, "What? Like apple juice?" Because over here, cider always used to be like a sparkling apple juice.
Yeah. Well, when was this? Because when would this have
This
been?
would have been like no more than 18 months ago.
Oh, really?
In New York.
What?
And I went
think you had a bad tender.
I went to Jack Allen's Kitchen.
Sure.
Down the road. Mm-hmm. And I sat at the bar and I was like, I would like a hard cider, which is what you usually have to ask for. And she was like, well, I've got a dry cider. I don't know how hard it is. And I'm like, okay. It's as hard as you want to make it.
Yeah.
So it was good. So that I discovered is now a thing.
Mm-hmm. The big trend now is White Claw.
Is White Claw?
White Claw. Have you seen the White Claw?
That's like super alcoholic cider, cider, right?
It's not cider. It's seltzer. It's alcoholic seltzer.
Oh, so it's like taking LaCroix to the next level. See, that to me is just like, you might as well just have a vodka and soda.
I mean, literally, yes.
I mean,
but it's in a can.
But it's in a can.
And it's all done up for you.
Okay, well, see, you put it in a can, and now I'm sold.
Yeah, I don't like seltzer very much or La Croix, so that doesn't super interest me. But I know a few weeks ago I was out and talking to someone who owned some bars or was like a GM for a bar, and he was like, we had another brand of seltzer in a can, and people overwhelmingly were asking for White Claw so much that we had to switch to serving the White Claw.
Wow.
And it's like a huge percentage of the
sales. It's a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a complete convert to LaCroix because I find if I like at home, it scratches that itch of like something nice to drink that doesn't have to be alcoholic. So during the week when you're like, oh, I could just have a beer, it's like, actually I could have a LaCroix. And it scratches the same kind of like fizzy in a can kind of tasty itch. Because like if it's like a Monday or a Tuesday night and I'm not trying to get like effed up, like I don't really need a beer. You kind of want just something nice to have that isn't like water.
But do you drink cola?
No, not really.
See, I'm a big cola person. Like I don't drink coffee or tea.
No,
I will drink a Coke.
No, like at work I will. But when I'm at home, no, I've never had like soda at home. So it's like a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it's not weird things. A podcast on the Diamond Club Network.
That's right.
It's been very funny because Weird Things, I arrived here on Monday afternoon.
Right.
As you guys were taping. Taping. Because we're in the 1980s.
Yeah, basically. You're in the middle of and things.
It was so weird for me because for me, Weird Things is a Tuesday podcast. And I was saying to Brian, it's like I have this whole set of podcasts that I look forward to waking up to on a Tuesday. There's like Pod Save America, the 538 podcast, Weird Things, and Chord Killers, and they're like my Tuesday rock. They're my Tuesday. That's my Tuesday rock block.
Yeah.
And then I'm over here and I'm like, oh, those all come out on a Monday. It's just that I'm asleep when they come out.
It's usually
so it's so weird. Like my podcast like schedule is now like completely out. All my episodes are out. My order is out. I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Well, and also you're like vacationing. So I'm sure you're probably listening more. Do you listen to podcasts?
No,
while you
I'm
work?
listening way less.
Really?
I'm interacting with human beings way more. No, my vacay is like if so. I drove from Houston to here, and I was like, normally if I'm in the car or if I'm traveling, I'd have a podcast on, and I'm like, no, I'm on vacation. I'm going to listen to Kiss 106.1 in the morning, and it's like that's the feeling of like being on vacation.
Interesting.
So I'm way behind on my podcast listening schedule.
Yeah.
But I am really excited because I'm sure a lot of you guys know Harmontown, that Brian's really into, the Dan Harmon podcast.
Yeah.
So they've just announced that their last episode is going to be at the beginning of December.
So is that just a hiatus, or are they done?
Nope,
Done?
done.
Wow.
Done. So when I'm in LA next week, I got tickets to go and see like one of the last ones.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm super psyched to go to that.
That's really cool. I haven't listened to Harmontown in over a year or so. It's always that thing. Harmontown. Every time I come back to it, it's like 6 months in between times I listen.
Yeah.
I'll usually just listen when I hear there's been a good episode.
Yeah, there are less amazing episodes than there were like 3 or 4 years ago, because the whole point, this is a little bit inside baseball, I think, but I think like the whole point of Harmontown was that it was where he went to like rant about whatever was on his mind, and you got like Dan Harmon totally unfiltered, which was what you signed up for. You're like, I fucking love Dan Harmon. I just want to hear like everything that he has to say, every grievance that he has, every petty like first world problem, like every like you want the unfiltered Dan Harmon experience.
Yeah.
And it seems like for him that was also the point of doing it, was kind of like group therapy. And then he got like fairly spectacularly Me Too'd. And after that, it was very clear that someone had said to him, you can't just go out on stage and now say everything you think and everything you feel. You now have like a bunch of stuff that you can't talk about at all. And there's like this marked changeover between when that happened. And it kind of sucks because it means that it's like, it's now, whereas before it was just him just being himself and coming out on stage and maybe getting fucked up and having like funny interactions with guests, it's now like him trying to put on a show. And it's not as funny. Because honestly, a lot of the funniness came from him being, wasted and telling really funny, like inside Hollywood stories that now he's very obviously not allowed to tell. So,
because he's always been someone who's like, as a showrunner and a writer, he's always been like on the edge of being like a famous person.
Yes.
And so like with Rick and Morty being a very stable thing, and with
there's also that. I think the fact that Rick and Morty is now like, okay, I'm now set, I'm not having to hustle, I don't have to worry about
8-year deal to do a million episodes.
He's kind of like, well, now I don't have to do anything. I can just sit at home. If you follow his Instagram, he's like crimping like just shit tons of RJ45 right now. He bought a new house and he decided he was going to wire it for Ethernet himself.
I love that.
And it's like, dude, you were paid like $1 million a season to write Rick and Morty, but all his Instagram is just like, he just like lays out all these tools that he made for like, if you go on Instagram, Dan Harmon, literally it will just be videos of him crimping RJ45.
Oh, here we go. Wire crimp porn.
The shaft of the connector onto the largest
Oh,
setting.
this is someone else's video. Let's see.
Yeah, so he's replicating. Oh, this is him.
TL33 coax compression tool.
No, this is someone else.
This is a TL22 coax cable stripper.
Yeah, no, this is someone
So
else.
if you go down, if you scroll through
God.
his, so apart from the dog,
got a script there.
script there.
Timeline of the world.
Yeah, there you go.
It was staring at wires. Wow. oh my goodness, that's really a big.
Like, and he's bought this like huge, like, 6-bedroom, like totally, pimping mansion in LA with his Rick and Morty monitor, with Rick and Morty money, and $10,000 video switcher, and now he's like, right, I'm gonna crimple this shit myself.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
it's so funny.
I mean, you need a hobby.
You need a hobby.
You need a hobby.
And crimping Cat 5 cable could be your hobby too. Yeah,
Man.
I need a hobby.
That's wild.
So it's been a great vacay so far. So I've done New York. I did Houston for a few days with some friends. Here at the 7 Acre Schwood, done the tour, went and saw, where all the bodies are buried.
That's right.
Then I'm off to Utah tomorrow. Gonna go and have dinner with Scott.
Ooh, Utah connection.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally a Utah connection. It's like airport, hotel, dinner, airport, hotel, airport, out of there. But it'll be really nice to see Scott. And then I'm in LA for a week, and I'm super pumped to be in LA. Hopefully catch up with Tom, hopefully catch up with a few other guys, and go to Galaxy's Edge. I've just been like, the whole time I've been building this new startup in London called Entail.
That's right.
I'm sure you guys know about. Yeah. No. Fucking, just hit entail.com.
Yeah.
Autocorrect really annoys me. Which is our new podcast app, and we just got Webby Award winner 2019 mofos. Thank you to the Diamond Club for helping us out with voting on that.
It is a really cool app. I know you've talked to us a lot about it before, and it's been been laziness on our side.
So we switched it up at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
So originally the whole thing was that you took your podcast and you imported it into our platform, and then you added loads of extra contextual stuff,
like chapter data, images, links.
Yeah. And it worked really well for the publishers that we worked with. So we went and signed like The Economist, The Guardian in the UK, the Condé Nast titles, all those kind of people. And then everybody that used the app was like, we want all this contextual stuff for every podcast that we listen to. And obviously, we can't go and talk to like every podcaster in the world and get them onto our platform. So we started looking at the most common user behaviors, like what were people looking at the most?
Yeah. Are people more going to links? Are they looking at the photos?
Are they looking for the Wikipedia entries of like guest hosts on things? And we used that to build a like V0.1 of an AI.
Oh, really?
That then went and did that for you.
Wow.
So now on Entel, you can listen to any podcast in the world, and it will go and get you additional context, additional content, the bios of the guests, their Wikipedias, their IMDb's, their Instas, their Twitters. And that was...
all just based off of the normal data you would get off the RSS feed?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
We were like, okay, now you can do some really interesting stuff once you're automating that process. So we just raised about $2 million.
Oh, congratulations.
Which is why I'm on holiday. Because it took me 9 months to do that. And I'm burned out AF. So we raised literally like we closed that deal a month ago. So we've got $2 million.
And then you just got the hell out of there.
Yeah, I got the hell out.
I got to get out of here.
Got that money and I got the hell out. And we're spending that money on building out that AI element.
Yeah.
So rather than
because that could be really strong.
Oh my God! So the stuff you can do is incredible. So for example, we're doing full episode transcripts of stuff that you subscribe to, and then as you're listening to stuff, we're finding, okay, well, this is a person that's being mentioned, or this is another podcast that's being mentioned, or this is a book that's being mentioned. Here's the link to it. Here's the link to subscribe to it. Here's the link to add it to your Netflix queue.
Wow.
And we can do all of that using AI, which is like really strong. And then when, one of the cool things that you can do once you start building out that AI data set is if you're a massive fan of Dan Harmon and you're watching Harmontown, or listening to Harmontown, one of our future roadmap pieces is like you can subscribe to Dan Harmon, and you can see where he pops up throughout other podcasts.
Wow, that's incredible.
So you're like, okay, he did an interview on this podcast, and he was a guest host on this podcast, and he was mentioned. Somebody was talking about Dan Harmon on this podcast, and suddenly you can start to get into like, you know, on the web where you get into that rabbit hole of like click, 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 and half an hour later you're like completely somewhere else on the internet.
Yeah.
We're trying to do that for podcasts.
That's incredible. And because it's a transcript, you can probably even deep link it into like, here's the moment where they're talking about it.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
incredible.
And then we can let people thumbs up and thumbs down that moment to tell us if we have good or bad data, like have we surfaced.
Oh, yeah.
So the one that we come up with, that we come up against the most often is there's a very popular podcast called Pod Save America.
Yes.
Which is presented by a guy called Jon Favreau.
And
there is a very famous filmmaker called Jon Favreau.
That's right.
And we have a channel in our work Slack that's just called like #wrong Favreau. And it's every time our AI pulls up the wrong Favreau. And so we're trying to train it to like recognize like what's the context that you're in.
Yeah.
Is it a political podcast? Is it a film podcast? What's it more likely to be? But that problem exists for like times a million different things. So we're slowly building a data set that will train itself on what you listen to, what you like, and starts to become kind of a little bit like Netflix. Like here are people that you like, here are things that you like.
You could probably even have it look at the general themes and general content of a show and say, this is a political show. Here are other political shows. That's real. That's really incredible.
It can be like, so one of the things that we let people do is bookmark moments. So if you are listening, if you're listening to something, you can hit bookmark and be like, "Ooh, that was an interesting moment." And one of the things we're working on is like, okay, so at the end of the episode, tell us like one of three options, like why did you like that moment, and then we'll try and find other stuff that's like that throughout the rest of the catalog.
That's really cool.
So it's really cool. It's trying to take, you know, one of the things that we hear the most often. Like we're all like, you know, total nerds, and we've been into podcasts forever, and we're watching live on Twitch and, you know, all those kind of things. But there is still this massive, massive contingent of people where you say to them like, hey, what podcast do you listen to? Or do you listen to podcasts? And they go, yeah, I really want to get into podcasts, but I don't really know where to start.
What do I do? Because there's so many clients.
Yeah,
and
the
directories.
Apple app is a POS. You know, the default Google app is
don't get me
POS.
Do not get me started on Google Play Podcasts.
So we're trying to make something where it's easy to get into, and it's also easy to get like completely caught up in it.
Yeah. Speaking of podcasts, you might know him from. There he is.
Where's that sweet boy Will?
There he is.
Sorry, who am I talking to?
Oh, you better knock it off with that fucking.
Who's
those
that?
Glasses.
Who's that?
You better
Who's
knock
there?
it off.
Who's there? Is it my boy?
My boy.
Cheers, mate.
Jizz.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
You know that's become like a social coup amongst like 4 or 5 friend groups now. Like it is now like the jizz joke is everlasting. It will never stop jizzing.
Jizz things never stop, never stopping.
No, exactly, right?
How you doing, Jerbs?
Oh my God!
It's been a minute.
I got a whiteboard, and now I list things to do. It's happened for one day, but it was very effective today, and I feel like it's going to go.
Your new organizational system has lasted one day.
Yeah. Well, but also I will say it arrived the day before I had to leave for TwitchCon, and I moved it into the room where it was supposed to be put up. The first day I was back from TwitchCon, I got it installed, and now this is the first day after that, and it has now successfully been used to organize my day.
Congratulations.
It's right over here. It's right on the other side, so I can see it. Like this is like a position that I'm at for a lot of the day when I'm either on streaming.
So your work is just staring you down. It's giving you the evil eye. It's like, come at me, bro.
Well, no. It's just like giving me a disappointing look whenever I'm fucking around at it. Like whenever, because like that'll really what burns my time is either phone calls with one of two friends who I won't name, but they're my co-hosts on Weird Things. And then fucking around on like Reddit or Twitter.
I tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do you a favor, Justin. I'm going to do you. Yeah. I've never done this for anybody. I'm just going to email you a picture of my mum, and you can just put it on top of your board, and then you can see what disappointed looks like.
So, all right, on a scale from 1 to 10 of stern British mums, where is yours?
She is. To be fair, she is. No, that's not fair. My mom is probably going to watch this. No, wait, we're in pre-show. She's never going to watch this.
No, she doesn't.
This is amazing. She's not subscribing on Patreon.
Give us $1, Mama Harris.
Fuck her. No, she's lovely. But I just always remember the moment when I told her I was giving up my guaranteed 6-figure salary in London doing a law degree for doing podcasting and freelance media, and that was palpable disappointment.
Yeah, that was. I imagine it was a silence so loud it was like an airplane engine. Going.
Well, it was the awful thing of like, I'm not angry at you, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Luckily I socialized my mom into not expecting much fairly early. Like,
that's amazing.
Also, it was just a good like. I'd always do well enough, but not so well that she'd be like, "Oh, this is, really big things in this guy's future." It was just like, nah,
he'll be all right.
We'd like it better if you got a job. Like you do you, but like just just know there's no money here. That was the best. The vast majority of my mom's lessons to me were just like, just so you know. Like no money here. There's
no fallback. You got to own your own shit.
Yeah. So you're just gonna have to get a job of some sort.
That's amazing.
Did I miss the news that Jury hinted at on Twitter? No, you have not.
No, that'll be in the show.
Yet to be announced.
Oh, I know this news. I know this news.
Also, people in the Discord know about it because I was told to tell them the news.
Yes. So if you're on Discord, you know about it. If you don't know it, go to Discord. If you want to be surprised, come on over here.
I'm just going to dash out for 1 second.
Okay.
Please do. Please dash.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, Bryce. What's going on, man?
Oh, just trying to keep everything afloat. Oh. Just trying to keep everything afloat.
There's like, this is definitely a studio now.
Yeah, it is.
I think that what's happening now is that there are some growing pains between the home studio and the studio, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Brian normally like, look, the shower where he needs to be, where he can check on the kids, where he can get a drink, where he can do all these different things. Very, very close. Now, not to say that you don't have the same amenities at the studio, but it's going to take a little bit for everybody to kind of be on the same page, right?
Uh-huh.
And then meanwhile, you add on to it that's also just a great hang pad. Like there's just a lot of shit to like, a lot of space. Everybody can sit around, look cool, talk to each other, catch up.
Mm-hmm,
Meanwhile, functioning studio with a lonely Bryce.
I know. And then I think we do have Bonnie joining us. I did not find out about that until we turned the stream on today. So we're also, that's another growing pain thing, but we're doing the
she
thing.
does regularly join us, right?
Well, just I had heard that she was maybe giving us a little bit of time before we figured that out. So we'll have her off camera tonight. Joining us
shit.
also.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you were assuming that like there needed to be another set lit and like
I didn't have an answer for what to do with that.
God. Okay. Yeah, because I would just assume that she would just be off camera.
Yeah.
Like, because she's the invisible wife.
Yeah. Hey, Brian.
Yo,
How's it going?
good. My goodness. We haven't spilled the big news on the air, have we?
Not on the air.
Not on the air, no.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Dude, how is everything?
I mean, really good. Everything's really good. I think I'm gonna hop on a plane tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. It was sort of loosey goosey, but I believe tomorrow I'm gonna fly out to Utah and I'm gonna go do a thing with the folks over at the King of Random.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So just keeping that supporting the franchise.
I mean, well, if anything, my impulse to make sure to work with them is stronger than ever because, like, when Grant was running everything, I'm like, dude's got it. What's he gonna learn from me? And now it's like, oh man, I very much want to help in whatever way I possibly can.
Yeah. Oh my God, totally. And especially just, this is, I think you were when you were going through all the Grant stuff and processing it, and you were like, okay, well, seeing as I also run a personality-driven media empire, I think that there's a little bit of healthy, like, do unto others, right? That if, God forbid, worst case scenario, you would hope that people were flying from Utah to Austin to make sure that this machine that has, mouths to feed continues to churn on, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I got here. No, we can keep talking about that, or else I have another thing that I did. I had an interview that I could talk about.
What else is up? Oh, I spent like an hour pitching Will on my idea for a website that could take about a weekend to code and possibly transform the world. It's a email client so little things have outsized differences on the world. In the case of YouTube, it is the social proof of the viewer count of every single episode or whatever. I spent like an hour and a half explaining to Will how great it would be if there was a particular domain, doesn't matter what the domain is, but it's an email client that everybody understands that email client only gives you 60 minutes per day, and you have to pay money if you're going to go past that 60 minutes. And if you don't get to it, it sets fire to it at 4:20 in the morning every single day. And then it sends an email saying, sorry, your message was set fire to, didn't get to it, why don't you try sending it again? And if you send the exact same thing, it kicks back saying, like, looks a little bit like you sent the exact same message. Let's say you gussy that up.
This is one of my favorite Bryant crusades, because ultimately it boils down to one thing. And I feel like we can achieve that one thing right here tonight on the show. What you really want to do, because if there's one thing that I've learned from Brian Brushwood, is it is not the product. It is what you are really selling. And what you are really selling, Brian Brushwood, is the fact that you specifically just want the world to be okay that you want to delete all your email tonight.
Oh, no. Okay, first of all, that's
No,
close.
You very much want that. No. What do we, because, like, the problem that you have is a very specific use case. And now maybe you would find many other people like you, high volume email people that get emails that are important because you need to touch them in some way. And so therefore it's easier to leave them languish forever than to either give them a cursory thing or something too cold, or maybe miss something that you would have otherwise found if you had the time, energy, effort, or ability to strain through them. This weighs on you. You are Atlas with the world on his back, with this weighing on you. Very specifically, a Brian Brushwood problem. And what you desperately want is nothing that I can give you, nothing that the chat room can give you, nothing that Bryce can give you, nothing that Bonnie could give you, but you want the world to be okay. Everybody who's emailed that it's not my fault. I'm now on blazeit.org. So it's just, God, I wish I could have, but I'm just committing. I've committed my life to Blazeit, and it's now not my fault. You just want a hole in the sheet to delete all your email.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. Specifically, what I'm selling is there is a thing that is a real thing that many, many people want, and it is called the bliss of inbox zero. What if every single morning, provided you wake up after 4:20 a.m., you experienced the bliss of inbox zero? So part of it would be you make a pledge of a specific amount of time, and you are graded on that time. So it is publicly known whether or not you are full of bullshit when you say that you dedicate an hour a day to email, because I think everybody would agree that an hour a day is a fair amount for any human being to dedicate to email, right?
I would say that's too much. I don't.
Oh my God!
But again, this no. Don't laugh at me like this. I couldn't spend an hour on all my emails a day if I had to. I think most people couldn't.
Both of you are true. Both of you are absolutely 100% correct. Bryce, you couldn't if you spent all the time. Each time you were moving in a slow motion. If you were underwater, you brought a computer underwater. You could not spend an hour with email. For Brian, an hour and it is a spit in the wind. Like it is absolutely nothing compared to the massive amount of emails that you see there. But also, Brian, just delete your fucking email. Just start from inbox zero tomorrow.
I mean, what I do right now is I just don't respond, and I develop a thick skin and get used to the idea that people just understand I don't respond to email. But what I would love is, I mean, I'll still give
someone else to delete all my emails.
No. What I would love is to give
a robot.
Well, understand what I'm pitching is I can do less physical time that I'm doing right now. So I'm doing 2-3 hours a day on emails. So I could do less. So I'm doing an hour a day. And yet, I will have an A+ rating when it comes to keeping my promise of how much time I dedicate to it. So when you find out that your email is deleted and was not read by Brian Brushwood, you will feel a flash of frustration, but then you will see that he has an A+ rating in the last 30 days. He's never come in under 59 minutes of his hour-long promise every day. So you can't be mad at Brian because he's giving the hour that he promised every day, and it just didn't say. And then at this point, the machine learning starts saying like, hey man, have you thought about maybe restating your stuff simpler or writing it in a way that doesn't require this guy to write a whole essay to you or whatever? Like that doesn't sound crazy, does it?
No. It sounds like the exact platform that you want. Now, the question would be, how many Brian Brushwoods are there in the world? Because you have a very specific use case. You have a very specific use case for email.
Well, let's say somebody like, let's say, for example, Bryce, you had 15 minutes of email per day. So the idea of pledging an hour is insane. You're like, I'll never put a whole hour. But in general, it tends to be 15 minutes. In that case, your grade would be a response rate.
But I don't.
You have an A+ because 99 out of 100 emails get responded to.
I guess it just seems like both of those seem like proprietary metrics. I don't think if I got bounced back on this thing and it said, well, Brian did what he promised he would do, I don't know that makes. I don't know if that. I don't know who that makes feel.
So
good.
Right now, what you have is you send an email and you never hear anything back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that preferable to getting back after 24 hours a message saying, Brian does an hour of email a day. He absolutely did not even see your email. Feel free to send it again.
Yes. The former.
Wait, just not knowing?
Yeah.
Yep. Because you have the busy guy, he'll get to it eventually, and then either you forget about it and therefore now you don't care anymore, but there's no friction point of rejection.
And also this whole thing that you're doing of like going through your backlog and being like, hey, you're just, I know this was a long time ago. Like that pleasantness is not even a chance possibility because, like you said, the emails get deleted after a certain while, right? So it means it makes email have to be way more instant than everyone else expects it to be.
Huh.
Plus, you're going to get way more emails of people if they say, oh, we deleted your email, reword it and send it again.
I mean, weirdly, that quite literally just makes me want to delete my email accounts.
Do it.
Yes!
And just give up.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Go!
Huh.
Look, I mean, I think the larger issue is that you are a very charismatic person that people want to interact with on a variety of different platforms. You happen to be gigantic in the Magic community, which happens to have a very fraternal, I want to email in stuff. You've made a career out of asking people to send in their own tricks and riddles and puzzles. That is not an easy thing to sort through. It's not an easy thing to deal with, and as of now, unless there's a step that I'm missing, there's never been somebody else that has access to your or another email that does all that stuff for scam school / scam stuff. So this is all very Brian heavy, intensive labor. Like when I say that this is something that you want to do, it's not because I don't see where you're coming from. It is indeed the absolute opposite. I know exactly where you're coming from. And if I were living with that kind of shit on my shoulders, I would want everybody to get on a platform where it was okay that this shit didn't get read too. Like that's a lot of shit to deal with. It would be fucking like I just believe it would be worth it for you to say email bankruptcy. I'm declaring email bankruptcy. I'm sorry. If it's in there, like maybe I'll send, maybe on my own, I'll find somebody that I trust that can just sort out the like scam stuff ideas into another email that somebody else who I trust can like see what is worthwhile and what is absolute, garbage or whatever. But then at that point, you literally go on top of do they have a gong at the Wizard Academy? Like a big old gong?
They have
do.
a bell.
Yeah.
Gong and yeah, stuff.
Oh, here you go there. Literally, you bring a laptop, fucking select all, you record it, you bang a gong, you hit delete, and you say, "This was killing me. I'm excising a cancer from my life." And it's not that anything was wrong. It was just the email has become an unproductive thing when you're looking at that many and you're doing 3 hours of it a day.
Huh.
We got to find. We got to roll one in.
Hey, so everybody says I should just delete my email account.
No, your old email.
Well, okay, literally both of you and everybody in the chat. It was fairly universal.
But
delete
not
yourself.
your account. Not your account.
Yeah. No.
All the backlog.
Is that like should it Brian is cancelled?
I guess. I don't know.
No. Not your account. Just declare email bankruptcy. Like everything that's in there right now, just start from scratch and have some different practices of like another email that you can forward and somebody that can help you with the scam stuff.
But that doesn't.
That doesn't solve the core problem that Brian's trying to get to, which is that he wants to declare email bankruptcy every day.
Yeah, I want to perpetually feel
That feeling of I have nothing to do, and if you didn't get me, bad luck, but try again. But also, it's that feeling. We were discussing this. Are we discussing what we were discussing last night? Ish. The feeling of the feeling of waking up every morning. What if you could wake up every morning to inbox 0? Wouldn't that be the greatest feeling of in the world?
It is, because after I eliminate like 20 emails when I wake up, I do wake up.
That's because you're a badass, Justin.
No. Listen, I don't get anywhere fucking near the volume that Brian gets. Like this is not me in any way saying that like I don't have the same problem that Brian does. And so the what you came in on was my initial thing is like I think that's a great idea. I just don't know how many Brians there are in the world. I would suspect that there's a fair amount of them, and I would suspect that they would probably pay for the privilege to have a service like that. So I think it is a service worth building. That being said, I don't know what it is, and I do know that email, short of creating the site, I do know that email, the weight of email, is actively eroding Brian's life, and that
So I was saying that one of the best hacks for email I ever learned, in like some random bar in some like random ass area of San Francisco about 10 years ago when I was hanging out with Kevin Rose in the Revision 3 days. Yeah. And I think it's probably long enough ago now that I can out him, where it used to be, someone sends you an email and you're like, hey, so-and-so, thanks for your email. In response to your question, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and here's the information that you wanted for blah, blah, blah. Thanks very much, best, Will. Yeah. And he said, nobody minds and it's like the politeness, like you're kind of like writing like a missive back to the other person, right? And that level of like politeness is like a degree of bullshit. And he would say, but nobody cares if you write a 1-line or a 2-word answer if the signature underneath it said sent from my BlackBerry. Like we were in a time where you could write like a 1-line reply, and if it was sent from your BlackBerry, like you were already like, oh yeah, I'm totally owning this. So he just changed the desktop email signature on his computer to say sent from my BlackBerry, and then would just send 1-line replies to every single email he ever got. And was like, nobody knows any different. And everybody thinks I'm working on the go the whole time, like I'm super successful.
I mean, I would say that the entire email culture has kind of become more okay with that. Like I feel like now I would feel more okay with if you were to tell me I can only respond with 1 word to every email that I get. I feel like I'd be able to get away with it now more so than I would have 10 years ago.
Well, that was part of the ideas that we were talking about last night is an email system where you're not you have to pay out of pocket for every character over 300. So you have to give a tweet length response. Incoming, great, however long you want to go. But because of this domain that you're on, everybody knows that there's no expectation that you'll write longer than 300 characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think, dude, I'm with it. I think email is a very personal thing. Email is it's very different for everybody.
I was finding it really interesting that when I moved from Condé Nast to doing my own startup again, Condé Nast I would get like 300 emails a day, and at least 250 of those were like polite emails where you're like copied on something that goes to someone else that you sort of want to see, but you don't directly have to action. And I was saying the most effective way I ever came up with for dealing with email was just paying $25,000 a year for an assistant to read all my email and only forward me the good stuff. I'm like, that's a value exchange. You pay like someone straight out of college, and you say, read all my email and anything that I actually need to do. And I would say, like, don't even send me the email. I don't even want to see it. Just come in with a printed piece of paper that gives me like 15 yes or no answers, and then just you go back and deal with the people. And I was like, the power.
Dude, I mean, I do think that, I mean, like, I don't know. Email has been such a fascinating thing throughout our last, like, 15 years, because that used to be, like, the white whale was the next, gigantic company was going to be the one that fixed email. And then we kind of realized as email's kind of coming back in a big way, because as we've realized that, like, all of the things that we created to somewhat replace it, social media and Slack and, like, all these things, no matter what, they're always going to be able to squeeze us.
Yeah.
What's there?
Well, I feel
Free
like
as fuck.
Slack made a huge difference to email, because rather than having like endless CC chains on decision making, you would just start a channel, invite the relevant people, and
Yes.
and then everybody would know what there was to know. And so I would say I went from like at Condé getting 300 emails a day, of which the majority were just copied on things that other people were doing, to at Entail probably like internally I get less than 10 emails a day, and it's only if someone's forwarding me like a document that I need to like sign or something. Like Slack has changed. I feel like Slack has changed internal. What a great podcast material we're doing for a Tuesday night comedy podcast. Let's talk about the workplace.
This is only just pre-show. Get ready.
flow.
Get ready for the full show.
Get ready for the full thing. Also, Brian, how fucking high are you?
I'm very high up. What do you mean?
No, I don't mean like loaded. I mean I'm like.
Oh yeah. No, I love it. I'm practically standing.
On screen, you can't see because we're sitting in the frame and we're looking thing. But I'm like a good
I love this.
half a foot
Yes.
shorter than Brian in this thing.
This is what I need.
And it's troublesome because we have to set the table a little higher, and so the desks or the other chairs that we have in the space are significantly short for that table.
Man, let's go to Golden Corral. We'll steal some booster seats. It'll be fine.
People I never thought I'd ever look up to. Brian Brusher.
Hey, look, Will, when you build your own fucking compound and the studio that you are sitting in, then you can David Letterman some motherfuckers.
Is that what it is? Am I being Letterman right now?
Okay, or O'Brien.
O'Brien?
Actually tall though, right? Is Letterman all that? Letterman was the first one that I heard that like would have the larger thing on larger.
Well, it's
desk
always
on.
the power move in a meeting, which is that you have a meeting in a conference room,
And you walk in with a Detroit phone book, and you just sit it down, and you plop yourself down on top of it.
You sit at the head. You set the gas lift on your chair is like 2 inches.
Yeah,
higher
they
than
said
everybody
that's
else.
why they say never walk into a corporate meeting without a hot air balloon, and then you can just kind of float above everyone else.
And you're always looking down on that person.
That's right. I do feel like, man, one thing about this setup is that we're doing brighter lights, which is great because it fills in everything, but it highlights how shiny I get. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna put a spot of powder on. I'll be right back. Yeah. You want some? You want some? Yeah.
You want a little powder on
Can we
your
go do
face?
some powder together?
You want some powder?
I want some powder. Yeah. Okay.
I think we're talking about different powders. I don't know.
It's not as fun as you might think. It's really just makeup. Sorry, guys.
Bonnie's in the studio.
Hello. Look at me. I made it over here.
You did. You are here now. Where are you in relation to the in relation to the set?
Well, I am. I can actually see the camera that is trained on Brian, as if I don't need to see his face enough. But then I'm sitting.
She's right here next to me.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's great.
And that's the set.
Yeah. So we're snug and cozy.
Where would you like? I mean, are you gonna try out like a few different like places before you like settle on the official Bonnie position? Like, or you feel the vibes right there?
Wait, I got a Bonnie position? What is the Bonnie position, anyways?
I'm asking you. You're the only one who can know. That the answer resides in your very soul.
I know. I feel like I need to come meditate up here and do a few alms and figure out this space. Maybe when it's quiet sometime, I'll be like this. Oh, I'll teach you a phrase that my dad would say when we were trying to park his big ass beach going truck. You'd say,
What's that?
"This is the spot because there's no other spot like this spot. So this must be the spot." Except he
you
has
are
like a very
feeling-
Texas accent, so it sounded
Yeah.
cooler.
And you are feeling that now.
Well, not
Not yet.
not yet. Only because like this was a choice that was given to me, but maybe tomorrow I might come in and choose the exact same spot. I'm not opposed to it.
So it's not that anything's wrong with what's happening now. You're just trying to feel the room, feel the energy.
Feel the energy. Yeah. No, it's amazing.
It says delete this email.
Dude, I'm
gonna delete it.
My
Delete
forehead's
this
much
email.
better now.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Do you delete your emails, Justin, or do you just mark them as read?
Oh, I archive them.
Yeah.
Archive.
What's the difference?
Archives hides them away, but it doesn't delete them. It gets them out of your inbox, but it doesn't delete them.
Wait.
Yeah.
Do you not have that?
You don't.
I mean, no, I have it, but I don't understand the point because it just goes to unread or to read. Like, if it's read, if it's not bolded, then it's like, I'm done with it.
But you can have unreads in your inbox, and this gets them out of the inbox also.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah,
it
also
away.
It's a separate layer because
Yeah,
Google was
I've
like,
lost. I mean, I only want victory, and it'll never happen. I only want victory over important and unread. Everything else can exist.
because Google's thing with archive was like, hey, we're the first email giving you gigabytes of data, so you don't have to delete anything, just archive it, and it will be out of the way here, but we won't delete it.
That's my win condition. And it used to be what brought about the most beautiful sight in the history of all email, the fucking inbox sun. The fucking
Oh, this is
beautiful
your white whale.
inbox sun. Oh no, look, Brian, one time I had happiness in my life. One time I had joy. One time I saw the true face of God, and it was the fucking bright and beautiful inbox sun. And then what did they do? They took it away. No more inbox. We have the same shit in Gmail. Fuck you. You don't. In fact, you got too many goddamn features, and they all clash together, and they look ugly. And then the worst thing is at the end of it, when you get down to all your email, you do the work, you put in the time, you get to inbox zero. What do you see? Is it a big, gigantic, beautiful orange marble signifying victory? No, it's just gray. Fucking blank, void, gray. I don't blame you for having that many emails, because if I knew that that's what happened when I got to heaven, I'd fucking kill myself and go to hell.
But that's it. That's just it, Justin. That's the entire point. Once you've done everything that you accomplished, there is nothing left but the void. That is the metaphor that Google is trying to give you. It's like you've accomplished everything that you were supposed to do. Now you have nothing.
That's see, that's the thing. That's these Chi-Coms at Google. What they want to do is reveal that there is no God, that there is no heaven, that there is no morality. What they want to do is tell you that at the end of the day, when you answer your grandma, when you answer your pastor, when you answer everybody in your email inbox, that at the end of the day, there's nothing but a gray void.
So do you want?
These fucking assholes.
So Justin, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you the story quickly because this is, if you believe there is no email God, I'm about to prove you wrong. So my nan, my grandma, who on my mother's side. So I have a very large family back home. My mom has like 4 siblings, and they each have like 2 kids, who each have like 2 kids, blah blah blah. And my grandma was like the matriarch of our family, so she knew everything. And at the age of 93, we bought her an iPad, and everybody added her on Facebook, and everybody added her on email. If anything significant happened, we would email her, and she'd always have like the pictures. So like she would, she gets a little ding on her iPad in the middle of Foxville in Wales. And she would sit down, make a cup of tea, look at the email. Oh, so-and-so sent some pictures. That's really nice. And then the next person that called her on the telephone would be like, oh, have you seen so-and-so's pictures? Let me send them to you. So our nan was like the information hub of our family.
And then she started charging you like Facebook. You want to know what's going on with the rest of the fam? You come to me.
No, Brian. Brian, she died.
Oh no!
So thanks for that. So my nan dies.
That's the ultimate price.
That's the ultimate inbox zero. She
now-
took it to the next level.
So now she knows
This
what's
6
in the
foot
void.
inbox zero.
So 6 foot in our box zero.
Can I put that on your?
So she has this iPad, and I have this auntie who's now like in her late 70s, and she's like, well, I'm never getting onto the internet. I'm never doing any of that shit. That's for like young people. And we're like, well, look, your mom did it up until she died, so you have the iPad. And so I get this like on one of my Facebook photos about a week ago, and it says, my nan has liked my photo. And I was like, what the fuck? My nan's been dead for 6 months. And it turns out they didn't log her out of any of the accounts before giving the iPad to my auntie. So now I just have my dead grandma liking all my photos and emailing me.
Wait.
And
So who's running it?
So my auntie.
So
My auntie got given the iPad.
So she's
But she
still
was
logged
just
in.
she's just still logged in. So now I'm just like, this is the weirdest freaking thing on the planet.
That's weird.
And the first time I saw it, I was just like, who liked my photo?
Very weird. That's very weird.
And so you guys haven't done, because Facebook will, like, you can set a page as like a memorial for someone once they've passed away.
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys
guessing
haven't
you
considered
didn't
doing
do
that
that.
yet.
Yeah, I know. We just gave it to my auntie to continue on the legacy.
I mean,
One day I have a feeling that in like 40 years I'm gonna be the person. And like,
it's a bit like
gonna come to me.
It's a bit like the Dario on Game of Thrones, where it's like, get a new Dario. It's fine. Just keep going. The mountain, new mountain. Fine, go.
New mountain. There's a new grandma in town. That sounds like a really like 90s Schwarzenegger movie.
That'd be great. And there's a new grandma in town. Oh.
Mrs. Grandma email.
Mrs. Grandma.
So how was TwitchCon, J-Dog?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I'm conned out. I'm done with fucking cons. I went to too many cons this year. I don't like cons anymore. I'm going to need to not go to cons for a long enough time to enjoy cons again. But in general, I had a really good time, and I wound up meeting with a bunch of political streamers, and it was cool. It was cool to be around other people that do that very specific, unwatched corner of the internet.
You're very watched. Your
Oh,
Patreon and impeachment says that you are getting more watched by the minute.
Get
Get that impeachment money, brother.
Tell you what, as our democracy crumbles,
It's not just Hunter Biden's making $50K a week in Ukraine.
$1 pledges means you're in favor of impeachment. $2 pledges mean you don't like impeachment. It's the only referendum.
No, it's kind of wild, man. We've definitely seen a bunch of growth. I was joking with Brian that like it used to be whenever anybody dropped out, I would see a bump, and then impeachment happened, and I'm like,
This is where you start dropping like impeachment talks. I don't know. Maybe I'll just give this whole thing up.
yeah, exactly, right.
Well, I said you should go to five days a week. Go to 5 days a week. Make a $5 club. You're almost there already. You're doing the $3 club and the Tuesday bonus.
Yeah.
Go to 5 days a week, but make suckers like the real suckers like me that pay for everything. Like make it $10. Make it fucking more expensive than the New York Times.
We do actually have a $10 thing that I totally forgot. I had to read their names for like a year, and they didn't bitch.
Make subscribing to your content more expensive than reading Peter fricking Baker in the New York Times.
150%. And I have a less annoying op-ed section.
I'm here for it.
Hey, can we do a comedy show? Let's do a comedy show.
Yeah.
You guys ready? All right. Give me one extra second here to get all the other ducks in a row.
And now wait, you're we'll do this on the show.
Justin, do you remember the last time I was on Night Attack?
Was it when I was in London, or was it
Nope.
after that?
Let me give you a
Nope.
hint. All right, you ready? Here's your pantomime hint.
Oh no! Oh yeah! Oh, the nugs, the nugs. and I guess Will, the operative question would be, do you remember the last
We will revisit this, I'm sure.
Gotta get them nugs.
One of the most, having rewatched that clip a couple times, one of the most fascinating studies in all of our friendships.
Oh my god.
All right. We start your show?
Ready?
All right. What? What about it? That's a website. All right, here we go.